will bring about evil practices in your life, and that will result in producing fatal errors in your moral judgment, in your moral reasoning. And then that will affect you to go select, to heap to yourself teachers that will tickle your itching ears and will allow you to gratify those sinful desires, that will allow you to be able to continue on with, even though you may not be outwardly, you may only, it may be something that you might see as being, well, it's not really, I'm not really sinning. It's like, it's a borderline. It's something that's kind of a, like, we get borders maybe on it, but it's yet not an actual sin. And I'll get to a couple examples in a minute or two here, and so we can get a better idea of what we're talking about here. So because of the fact that they will heap to themselves teachers having itching ears, that's what they did in Jesus' day. The scribes and Pharisees made loopholes that would say, oh, this is not a break into the commandment. That's why they said, Jesus said to them, he said, why do you break the commandments of God by your traditions? Because you say, God said, honor your father and your mother, but you say, if you say it is a gift unto the tabernacle, therefore it relieves you of giving any kind of relief to your aged parents if they come and need to have some kind of relief, because now it's no longer yours to give. It's a gift under the synagogue when you die. So therefore, it's no longer yours. So you can't give to them. It gets you off the hook, so you don't have to show honor in that way to your father and your mother. He said, why do you break God's commandments by your tradition? So they were finding loopholes and telling people that, oh, if you do this, it's not a breaking of the commandment. In which it was a breaking of the commandment. So they thought, it's like, well, I'm not actually breaking the commandment. Did you know that they also had many names for God? So that they would only have one name for God, and they'd only whisper it once a year. Would they whisper that name, the true name of God, and they would use all these other names of God. So if they used that one harshly or in vain, they really weren't using the name of God in vain. And so therefore they made all these various different traditions. So by you wanting evil desires in your heart and it's left unresolved, and you want to begin to, it will begin to walk out and be evil practices in your life, you will find teachers that will agree to you that you're not really breaking any of God's will when you're doing whatever you're doing, which is really in some slight way. It may be a slight, and I said, well, I'll get to a couple examples later on, and you'll see what you'll see what I mean as we begin to progress there. Paul was speaking about abstaining from every manifestation and every form of evil. He was telling them to avoid things, not to avoid things that look simply like something that was evil in somebody else's sight, because when you would think about that, would be a very arbitrary standard. We have to be basing it upon what does the Word of God say. See, because a teenager might come to you and say, "Hey, can I go down to the? I heard that it's wrong to go down to the public beach," and he might ask you, "Why is it wrong to go down there?" And what people might tell him is, "Well, you don't go down there because to the public beach because he is told that it's a practice of it's a practice of it's an appearance of evil, and so therefore you shouldn't go down to the beach because it is an appearance of evil." But we know that we know that this is not really what Paul is talking about. That the reason why you don't go down to the public beach is because it's an appearance of evil. It would be more in line to be able to say it's wrong because our Lord taught us some rules concerning modesty, like in 1 Timothy 2, verse 9, where it says, "Let the that talked about modesty. That talked about modesty in dress." And so, therefore, it would be the reason why you wouldn't go. It wasn't because of any appearance of evil. If it was anything, it would be because of the fact that we are taught that we have rules concerning modesty. And so, therefore, that would be the reason, not because it's an appearance of evil. Somebody else might say, "Well, what about getting a lottery ticket?" And some people say, "Well, you don't do it because it's an appearance of evil." Well, to some people, buying a lottery ticket might be an appearance of doing good, because of the fact that the lottery money is supposed to go to help relieve the schools and help the schools and stuff, and also help to keep taxes down. So somebody might say, so you would actually lose the argument that it's an appearance of evil because of the fact that, well, it's also could be an appearance of good. We would rather talk about that Paul says about that, that we should abstain from covetousness, because covetousness is what's motivating people to go down there. Because if they truly wanted to give to the schools to help relieve the schools, they wouldn't have to have a lottery ticket. They could take it out of their pocket and just give it to them. It's covetousness, the desire to get something and get a lot of money and get it quick and get it easy, so that you can have more things. So the more motivation behind it would be covetousness, not an appearance of evil. So Paul, let me get back to this, because I don't want to wrap this thing up. Abstain from every form of evil. The thing that is banished is practice is the evil in the evil itself. And we have to look at what the Bible lays out to us as principles in God's words of holding fast that which is good. Such thing as, where the Bible would talk about the works of the flesh. The works of the flesh are manifest, which are these. It says adultery. Okay, adultery. We might say, well, we're not going to go out and take another man's wife. We would never go out and do that. But Jesus went out and said, well, if you look upon another woman and lust after, you committed adultery in your heart. And so, therefore, when we come down and we look at adultery, we're talking about any form of it. Abstain from any form of adultery. Maybe you didn't go out and commit the act, but don't get to the place where you're going to commit an act in your mind of adultery, where you're going to lust after another woman. Don't present yourself into a situation where you're going to go watch such TV programs that are full of all kinds of sensual lust, because of the fact that it's going to arouse these desires in a person's life. Anything that is any form of that particular sin, we have to avoid. Let me give you another illustration about, say, like murder. We may not go out and murder somebody, but will we go out and assassinate their character? Many people go out and do a character assassination all the time. And so, also, it would be any form of these particular. How about lying? Here's an example. And I know that this has happened because I've seen it. I've experienced it where it would happen with a person. The phone rings. Somebody calls. Wants to speak to a family member, and you pick up. The family member realizes that it's somebody they don't want to talk to. So what they do is they go out, walk out the door,